Greetings, Internet friends. Welcome to another episode of the SynergyCafe online show, featuring speaker, entertainer, close-up illusionist, and marketing alchemist, Magic Brad. It's the Internet lifestyle show about career, finance, relationships, spirituality, and wellness. We're moving the online chatter over to real-life activity. And now, please welcome your host of SynergyCafe, Magic Brad.
Hey Internet friends, Magic Brad here, SynergyCafe and the Synergy Collaborative, and I've got another guest on for today, and he's got a book out, and the book is called Lose Your Ego, Gain the World. And he's got a huge following on Twitter, like 200,000 or something like that. He's been a guest on Fox and ABC and CNN, and he's also a corporate trainer, and he's over on the west side of the United States. And his name is Todd. You there, Todd?
Good morning, Brad. How are you?
Is it morning?
It's morning here.
It is for you, and it is here too, I guess. It's 11 o'clock, so. I don't know, being an entrepreneur and self-employed, I don't wear a watch, so I don't.
That's right.
I don't know what day it is. I think it's Monday today, but it doesn't matter to me. So what I do with these interviews, I do these to get people so they understand who people are on this internet thing, so that it increases the know, like, and trust factor. So I don't charge anything for these interviews. I just do them, and it reciprocates, and that's the whole concept of Synergy Collaborative. The synergistic thing gets things going, and we get spread it out to the world so people can find you. So first thing is, who are you? Married, kids? Who are you, Todd?
Todd Lemense. I'm 42 years old, and I've been doing public speaking and training for 10 years now. But I've started several of my own businesses. I was in the restaurant business, I was in the construction business, but most of my life I've been a salesperson. So I've learned from 42 years of being interested in other people. One of my burning desires is why people act the way they do, why I feel the way I do. And so I study people, and now I do a lot of self-help writing, and my corporate training now is eliminating negativity from the workplace. And
but as far as who you are, you got kids, you're married, you like
divorced. I'm divorced, and that's kind of part of my story, is the ups and downs of success and divorce and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Got it. And you live in, you said
Portland, Oregon.
Portland, Oregon. Now, Starbucks is Seattle, though? That's kind of the same thing, isn't it? Seattle, Portland?
It isn't, but
Not?
if you're from the Midwest, it is. It's like Cincinnati and, what do you say, Cincinnati and Cleveland.
And is it Oregon or Oregon?
Oregon.
Okay, get that right. Oh, this is Minnesota. You know that movie that came out with Fargo and stuff? That Fargo is the Dakotas. That's not Minnesota, but everybody relates it to Fargo. For cripe's sakes, how you doing out there? You betcha. So sometimes people don't understand what like. You've been to Minnesota here, right? Didn't you say you're from?
I have. I spent some time in upstate. I did an outside sales job. I did seminars selling select comfort mattresses. So I used to travel around Minnesota selling mattresses out of a hotel. Sounds kind of shady, but it wasn't.
Well, they got a place in the mall over here that does that now.
They're corporate companies.
Are those the one that have the inflatable thing?
That is, yeah. Their home base is in Minnesota. A lot of good white collar jobs in Minnesota, I think. Right?
We got a lot here. 3M, Cargill, Medtronic, Honeywell, Pillsbury, General Mills, Prince, Bob Dylan.
The Vikings.
What?
The Vikings.
Oh, yeah. Go Vikings and take the Twins with you. I'm not a big sports fan. Okay. Anyways, let's get into what you do. What is it you do? Are you a sales trainer? Is that?
Not a sales trainer. What I do is companies call me in if they're having problems, or there's perceived problems with attitude at work. So one of the things I talk about is different difficult people that you have to work with and how to deal with them, and toxic relationships at home, at work. One of the big things I like to talk to people about is, because it's something I struggled with a good part of my life, was going to work for 10 to 12 hours and then coming home and worrying about work for 12 more hours. And I did that for a good part of my life, and I thought it was because I cared about work and that I was a good employee, when really I was just wearing myself out with worrying about things that I just couldn't control and people I couldn't control. And so that's kind of been my journey. So now I consider myself an expert on it, because I've made so many mistakes. Like, people will say, who do you take advice from? Someone who's married for 50 years or someone who's married 5 times? Well, the truth is you got to take advice from both because they both have something they can share with you.
Yeah, so like the ego, that's your book, is lose your ego and gain the world. So that's I can see how that could happen in a company. Maybe some guy's got a huge ego and you need to maybe work with those people, and if you can adjust a little bit, that might be a very good employee rather than firing him. Maybe it's just a little tweak and he could be a rock star.
Yeah, I talk to a lot of middle line managers who, you'll meet these people, and when you open your own business, you're going to have to deal with this too. Is they don't find any value in anybody. They think everybody is garbage, and that's a real problem. If you're like a coach on a team, everyone has a different body type, a different skill set. So you need to be able to recognize the good things people do and not just the bad. And you appreciate people different that way. I think overall as a working culture, there's a lot of laziness sometimes at work as far as hiring and stuff. We just kind of accept who comes in, and we don't realize how much time we have to spend with people. It's kind of like, I don't have kids, but I have, nieces and nephews. And if they were at work, you'd want people to be patient with them like you're patient with them, and you kind of got to have that. Everyone's got to have that sense of community of helping people, getting the most out of everybody, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, a lot of times you don't know what the core issue really is. And it sounds like you can kind of go there and speak with the people from a neutral standpoint rather than, if the president's telling everybody what to do, they'll just do what you got to do or they lose their job. But you come in as a neutral party, right?
Absolutely.
Got it.
And
Cool.
what's really surprised me about it is it's all across the board. I mean, I could talk to a manufacturing plant or a group of nurses. Well, you wouldn't think that there would be negativity in a group of nurses, right? I wouldn't think so. But it's really across the board. It has nothing to do with age, ethnicity, business, geographically. It can really be toxic and cancerous to a company, and that's not really why I do it. I do it for people to feel better. Life is short, and you spend most of your day at work. So why not be happy while you're at work?
Yeah.
Or at least mindful. The thing I always had a problem with, when I was at work, I wish I was at home. When I was at home, I wish I was at work. So I was at neither one. I was never present. I was never relaxed.
I always found that strange in the working world. People always get off work and they talk about work, and then when they go to work, they talk about what they did at home. It's kind of weird that it's so.
It is, and just because you work, it doesn't mean it's not your time.
Yeah.
And it really is. The people who can really settle down and be mindful about where they're at are a lot more comfortable, a lot less stressed. They're not chewing their nails and stressed out of their mind.
So they can be more creative and not be on the defense all the time, right?
And that's the thing, rewarding employees and people who are more creative.
So the next question I've got is, where do you do your work? Do you travel to the location, or you do online type of consultation with companies, or both? Or
I do on-site training. So I go to their company and I go in a day before and set everything up. And I do a day, and I do that every 3 months. So I do it for usually a year for each business.
Locally or nationally or any place in the world? Or
nationally.
Okay, so you stop at the borders. You don't go up to Vancouver.
Yeah, apparently everything's fine in Canada, Mexico. They don't have any negativity there. So it's just here in America. There's plenty to do here in America.
I'm always kind of curious of when people work. Are you like an AM guy or a PM guy, or is it kind of like I just go when the contract is? If it's an AM thing, I got to deal with it. Or where's your optimum time?
When you do speaking gigs, it's usually the middle of the day.
I mean, where's your zone? Where do you like it?
Any place West Coast for travel reasons, but I'll go anywhere. I mean, it isn't hard nowadays. You travel the day before, and then you do the thing that day and come back. So
wow, just fly on out and fly on back. I get it because I got a background in magical entertainment, so there's a lot of that kind of stuff and same kind of vibe. Different everything from blue collar to suit and tie, and you just got to deal with it.
The one thing I stopped doing in the beginning, what I was doing was I was trying to change and do everything to fit the group. But the problem is, like we were talking about earlier, sincerity shows. And if you try to talk to someone, if I try to talk to you about magic, you know in about 2 seconds that I didn't know what I was talking about. And so you lose all credibility. And even though I was trying to please you, it's not appreciated. So what I do now is tell them my story, my experiences.
That totally resonates. It totally resonates because doing the magic also. I've been doing it since I was 5. So all of a sudden you'll be at a gig and somebody will hey, let me see your cards. Let me show you this one. It's like, oh my God, not again. 22 times I can see that card trick. So I get it, the same kind of thing. Yeah, so you know where the person's coming from before you start doing your deal.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then that kind of leads into the next question. Then my favorite question. Then we're kind of done. But how do you do your work? Is it like a Q&A kind of thing, or do you get in to the board and talk to the upper management, or how do you do your work?
I try to talk to everybody. Usually when I come in, they have everybody present. And it's very, very, I'm honored to have people's time. You know, we talked about YouTube videos, and people don't want to invest. They certainly don't want to invest sometimes over 8-9 minutes. So when you get them for 8 or 9 hours, you really have to make good points. You have to win them over. You have to be entertaining, you know, because people get bored, and I don't want them to be with me and think about what they have to get done. Let's face it, the work's going to wait for them. It's not getting done while they're in there listening to me. So I'm very mindful of their time. To keep people's attention, a lot of interactive stuff. We do a lot of word replacement things, and we do breakout sessions and things to make it fun, things to make it go so it feels like 3 hours and not 8 hours.
Okay. Well, before I ask my favorite question, what do you have a specific niche that you work in, like health and wellness or technology, or is it across the board?
It's across the board.
Okay. It's good to know, so that when I propagate this stuff out, I like to hashtag it and put it in specific groups, you know,
Sure,
corporate
yeah.
groups. And I got a background in events, so event planning groups maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, here's my favorite question, and this is why? Why do you do what you do as opposed to you were in construction, you said, and you were in sales? Why didn't you all of a sudden become, I'm taking off and I'm going to be a ski instructor or something? Why are you doing this?
I think we're all born with gifts to do certain things. And I think that everyone in the world has something that they're probably one of the best 2% in, something that they would do even if they didn't get paid. And this is something I did for a long time and didn't get paid. So I know I'm in the right
But
field.
those days are gone, right?
Those days are gone, but those were good days too. You know, and that's another thing I always try to tell people. You know, LeBron James, when he's a little boy, he didn't worry about playing basketball, making millions of dollars. He just played basketball. You know, he was still LeBron James then. He didn't think, well, I'll start playing basketball when I make money.
Right.
He just he loved what he did. He believed in the processes. He says, I'm going to be the best basketball player I can do. And in any time that you do a small business, that's the way you have to think about it. If you start thinking about how much I'm going to make a month compared to what I used to make, you're not going to make it. You just can't think like that. Like you said with the clock's got to go out the window, you know, when you own your own business.
Yeah, and you get in your own vibe. I think when you get in your own vibe, it's a lot easier to be at your best. And of course, then people are going to pay you for your best, as opposed to doing what you don't like doing, and somebody's going to hire somebody that doesn't like doing what they're doing.
Absolutely. Shows right away, right?
Yeah. Well, that's about it. If you want to give some information of how to get a hold of you, you got a website or something like that. I will also put the links and the things that I propagate out there, but if you want to verbally put that out there, go ahead and do that.
You can just Google my name, Todd Lemense. The last name is Lemense, and a lot of stuff pops up, the YouTube videos and websites and Twitter. I have a lot of followers on Twitter. I'm active on Twitter every day. So.
Got it. Well, we could learn a little bit from there, because the Twitter thing, you know, everything's been by fast, you know. Well, I appreciate taking the time. If you want to stick around, we can chat for a little bit. I've got a friend that's in from the UK. He's over here in Minneapolis, so I'm going to take him to the Mall of America.
Nothing like it. It's awesome.
So appreciate taking the time for Synergy Cafe and the Synergy Collaborative. You have a wonderful day, and we will talk to you all soon. Thank you very much.